Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of the new trailer for The Batman, in which Robert Pattinson's Batman speaks, well, mostly with his fists, which is how we like it. Now, solving the Riddler's Zodiac-style ciphers in the first trailer awoke inside me an investigative obsession that I will now focus with a frame-by-frame breakdown of this trailer. All the clues you missed for this film's deeper mystery. Let's get started.
Police! Hands up! Stay still!
We open on this rain-soaked corner and diner where, enjoying a late-night latte, is Paul Dano as Edward Nashton, this movie's Riddler, a serial killer inspired by the Zodiac Killer, both the real-life figure, who may or may not have been recently identified, as well as the Zodiac's depiction in David Fincher's 2007 film. Now, notice how the rain is almost constant in this film whenever characters are on the lower levels, which I think is another element from director Matt Reeves paying homage to David Fincher, but instead of the director's Detective Noir 7. Every exterior shot in the city is covered with a heavy rain downpour, which Fincher did to underline the brutality of urban life. Now notice how you can see a sign for the Anchorage stop Lower Gotham on the elevated train platform, which gives Gotham a sense of layers, a division between the elite and the underworld. Now actually Batman's Batcave is beneath all of this in the Wayne Terminus subway line, which was part of his family's original infrastructure for Gotham that we saw in the Batman Earth 1 comics, and apparently the subway line has all been abandoned. It could be that the sins of his father was really to sandwich all of the destitute of Gotham City into this surface level, stuck out in the rain, with the platforms weirdly left uncovered to expose the poor working class to the elements. Because they're on a train platform. Why are they being covered in rain? There's really no overhang there? Now, framed here in the diner window, Edward evokes another famous Edward Hopper, his famous Nighthawks painting, Creatures of the Night. But even with obvious police lights flickering on the window, Nashton doesn't run for it, and when GCPD swarms in, he calmly raises his hands to surrender. It's as if he anticipated being caught like this, the way John Doe surrendering in Seven, or the Joker's surrender in The Dark Knight were actually part of their master plans. Also worth noting how odd it is for Gotham police to catch the big bad criminal in a Batman movie, with Batman not even part of this raid, meaning that either Gordon and his team were acting on information that they did not share with Batman, or Batman didn't want to move on Nashton yet, or couldn't. Nashton was drinking out of an, of course, green-rimmed cup, green being the Riddler's favorite color, and he traced in the foam a perfect question mark. It's almost out of place how clean and crafted this is in a movie that's otherwise total gritty and sloppy, making this a kind of calling card from someone who wanted this to go down this way, and likely will have several more of riddles marked exactly this way that reveal themselves while he is in police custody. Moving on.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky,
So the title's Slam In, synced with the sounds of heavy circuit breakers flipping, the third of which ignites the bat signal, with the rain hitting those hot shutters, causing steam to form, like the rain trying to cool off the hot-headed Batman, but failing miserably. And I love how this is not the sharply welded stencil that we have seen in past Batman films, but rather the shutters are smashed in with a jagged piece of scrap metal jammed in there, and the effect is a sloppier bat signal in the sky, like a chunk has been bitten out of the left wing, kind of like all the bruising this Batman endures as a younger, brasher vigilante who refuses to pull any punches. And rather than perched on the roof of police headquarters, as the bat signal usually always is, this signal is tucked in a lower level of the building, still under construction, and like everything here, exposed to the rainfall. Reeves called this a Year 2 Batman, and neither he nor Jim Gordon have really risen up to their unimpeachable statuses in Gotham's justice system. Moving on.
it's not just a call. It's a warning.
So we see the white face paint kids on the train and then the shots of that train platform from the previous trailer, meaning Batman must have first spotted these guys while they were on the train, and you can see it from the falling rain on this side of the window and his moving reflection in the glass. Batman was totally watching them from outside the car and then stalked them to the platform. Yeah, this is all super voyeuristic. The kids weren't doing anything wrong on that train car, they weren't harassing that woman on her phone, and yet Batman doles out total overkill that freaks them the f out. Now notice on the wall behind these guys is a sign with the word Halloween. Now in addition to Earth 1 and Ego, Jeff Loeb's Batman The Long Halloween seems to be a major influence on this film's story, as one of the great Batman detective stories. But this could also just be telling us what time of year this is. These kids might just be in face paint not because they're part of a gang, but because it's freaking Halloween. Yeah, I know they shot him. I just think it could have been self-defense for this creeper following them around. Now Batman does take a shot to the chest at point blank range, impressively deflecting off his emblem, which do look like detachable weapons that could pop out of his chest, usable as knives or batarangs. And as the shot ricochet, the guy behind him ducks and does a quick double take, reacting to the bullet whizzing past him, and then he freaking electrocutes this shooter in the neck to the point where a sizzle of smoke wafts up from his neck. Apparently a new terrifying function in Batman's gloves, finger tasers. Moving on.
I've been trying to reach you.
Fire the gun!
This is about a king, and Riddler's the match.
So here Batman meets with Edward Nashton while he is in lockup, and he wears a striped jumpsuit labeled Arkham State Hospital. That was actually the name of the hospital in Joker, where Arthur Fleck obtained his mother's medical records. But the fact that this isn't Arkham Asylum or like Blackgate Prison or even the county jail suggests that Nashton might have been able to use an insanity plea. Now notice how we never see Paul Dano's face as Edward Nashton in this trailer, but we do get close with his bespectacled reflection in the window, but he does not flinch as Batman pounds the glass. He just taunts, "I've been trying to reach you." Maybe his communication has been in the forms of these additional crimes and riddles addressed to the Batman that reveal themselves while Nashton has been locked up. He pre-constructed all of this. You could actually see Nashton paralleling Hannibal Lecter, in which these guys' imprisonment seems to have no effect on their influence. And in Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter also left these creepy little goodies ready to be found by authorities that he just tucked away years in advance on the outside. This Riddler may also be inspired by the Riddler in Batman's Hush storyline, in which the Riddler impressively masterminded the whole conspiracy against Batman despite appearing to be an already dealt with non-threat in the plot. Now there's an overhead shot that shows an explosion tear through the city alley. There's actually quite a few overhead shots in this trailer. The cinematography is also reminiscent of Zodiac, one of my favorite shots in that movie, where Fincher followed the taxi in which Zodiac murdered taxi driver Paul Stein. Bruce Wayne shows up at the funeral of Gotham Mayor Don Mitchell Jr., that was the murder victim from the crime scene in the first trailer. Selina Kyle also arrives wearing her tall, lacy boots. Set photos actually showed her on the arm of John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Now remember, the first clue left behind by the Riddler asked, "What does a liar do when he's dead?" And I was able to decipher that code using the same double letter substitution method mentioned by Robert Graysmith in the Zodiac film to translate the creepy dad joke answer of "he lies still." And I think once Batman decoded that, he interpreted it as the Riddler's next target, Mitchell's funeral, a place where this liar politician literally lies still, like, and in Nashton's eyes would continue to lie as he is eulogized as a good man. And by the way, the presence of a hoo-hoo owl on that card, combined with the Riddler's later clue of "if you are justice, please do not lie, what is the price for your blind eye?" alluding to Lady Justice, the symbol of the court of law, could point to the court of owls possibly being behind all of this, but more on that theory in a bit. Let's move on.
I can take care of myself.
If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing left.
I don't care what happens to me.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Yeah, we see some of the romantic chemistry between Selina Kyle and Batman. This is actually in the same spot that Gordon beams the bat signal. You can see it over there on the right. And we see the many forms of Selina throughout this trailer. Her shorter hair, the wigs she wears in disguise. And we also see Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot, not yet the Penguin. And the scarring on the right side of his face is even more severe, as if whatever slashed him across the cheek caused the muscles beneath to detach and droop. There's also some more recent abrasions on his head. And then in the shot of Andy Serkis as Alfred, this guy also has a nasty looking scar across his eyebrow. Is everyone in this movie getting in bar fights? Thanks to Displate for sponsoring this video. Displate makes high quality art prints on metal. They have over 1 million great artist designs, including many from the worlds of gaming, anime, and comics. They have cool designs from everything from Alien to The Witcher, and a really impressive Marvel collection. Check out some of my favorite Displates using the link in the description. You will also get a sweet discount. They mount to your wall with a magnet, no tools needed, no holes in the wall, with Displate, you can build collections of the things you're passionate about right on your wall. With every Displate that you buy, you plant one tree through Displate's partnership with the nonprofit Trees for the Future. Click the link in the description to see some of our favorite Displates and get our special discounts: 26% off 1 or 2 Displates and 36% off 3 or more Displates automatically applied to your cart. It's an amazing deal and only available for a limited time, and you'll be supporting our channel and making some major upgrades to your walls. So click the link and get your own Displate. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne reads a newspaper. The masthead reads the Gotham Times with the name Mitchell across the banner, probably a headline reporting Mayor Mitchell's murder. And then Bruce lays out all of his Riddler evidence across the floor. I love these kind of shots. Now, I would say this is just like a brainstorming room, but there is police tape across the bottom left. So this might have been a crime scene that the cops already found, but now it looks like Bruce has taken over the space carrying spray paint, so he was the one to draw all of this out, I guess desperately trying to get inside Nashton's mind. And it's interesting how he is at the center, right at the question mark, showing that Bruce Wayne is really at the heart of this mystery. And he's surrounded by the hatch marks that the Riddler, I guess, uses in his iconography, as we see in Matt Reeves' released character posters. Now, in the bottom left is written Mitchell for Mayor Don Mitchell, and photos, I assume, from his crime scene. Now remember, on his walls were newspaper clippings of his recent mayoral re-election over opponent Bella Real, and Frame newspaper front page is celebrating his bust of the Maroni crime family, who are rivals to the Falcones, making me think that Carmine Falcone might have helped Mitchell get re-elected. It is interesting how he shows up to pay his respects at his funeral. Coulson, of course, refers to District Attorney Gil Coulson, Peter Sarsgaard, who was that guy who was forced into plowing that SUV through Mitchell's funeral, and he was strapped with an explosive collar, an iPhone on his hand set to speaker mode, and "No More Lies" taped over his mouth, and then another riddle for Batman on his chest. Now, that SUV was marked with the letters DOA, which could be a bit of wordplay suggesting that the DA, the District Attorney, was DOA, dead on arrival. In the first trailer, we heard Nashton's voice saying,
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
and that audio sounded echoey as if it was playing from Coulson's speakerphone, echoing in that church. And I think those are the words of the second riddle that is taped to his chest. The answer referring to Lady Justice, who is often depicted blind and carries the scales and the executioner's sword to behead the guilty. So the answer, going by the setup and punchline structure of the first riddle, is probably you get a head. And now we see Savage written on the floor, referring to Police Commissioner Peter Savage, played by Alex Ferns, who I think will be the next victim found beheaded. Actually, the photo to the left of the G in Savage looks like it could be a severed head. Now, the big clue here is outlined in a square, "The sins of my father," which Bruce wrote here, so he's referring to his father, Thomas Wayne, and I think it could be connected to what Nashton told Bruce in the first trailer.
You're part of this too. How am I part of it? You'll see.
So what were Thomas Wayne's sins? Well, in the bottom right, there's the phrase, "renewal is a lie." Matt Reeves has cited the movie Chinatown as an influence, and Chinatown's a great movie. It's the story of how corrupt LA leaders used water infrastructure to control the city in the 1930s. And now there's a ton of corruption and murder centered all around that. And notice how here, Nashton has been targeting specifically city leaders, the mayor, the DA, the police commissioner. And among those newspaper clippings that Nashton labeled lies in the first trailer, there was a sub-headline that read, "Seawall construction stalled." So I think that Gotham leaders were trying to push through a city renewal program that involved redoing the infrastructure of the city, but corruptly doing it in a way that would actually liquidate poor communities and cruelly target innocent people as criminals so that they could lock them up and steal their homes. That's why I think the Wayne Terminal that Batman's been using as a Batcave is abandoned, because his ancestors, the Wayne family, originally had an underground subway infrastructure that could have helped the city, but they shuttered it in order to redline people into these ghettos. And now city leaders have been leaning on their cozy relationship with an off-the-books enforcer to clear out these undesirables, an enforcer called the Batman. Now, I mentioned Court of Owls. I think there is a chance this movie could connect with the Court of Owls, an amazing comic storyline in which Bruce Wayne learns that his Wayne family was actually connected to a cult called the Court of Owls, who has been secretly running Gotham City from the shadows for centuries using an executioner named Talon. Now, Batman in this movie has similar quill-lined gauntlets that Talon wears. I'm just thinking it is possible that, thinking he was a good guy vigilante all this time, Batman has actually been doing the bidding of a corrupt police force course, carrying out the vision of his cruel elitist father. And now he justifies as vengeance, actually unjustified brutality against poor trick-or-treaters. Next clip.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say, ain't you?
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
Yeah, we see more of this crazy violence as Batman beats the piss out of some security guards at what I think might be Cobblepot's nightclub, the Iceberg Lounge. Batman grabs the bat and hits the guard with the other end, knocking out his earpiece. Vengeance. Vengeance for what? Even Cobblepot is like, hey, take it easy, sweetheart. He accuses him of being exactly what the ghost stories describe him as. And it might be true. On to the next clip.
I'm vengeance.
Here, Selina leaps off this ledge. Again, this is the same building where Gordon lit the bat signal from. Actually, in the lower right of frame, you can see Batman wrestling with someone wearing glasses. This could be Nashton after his release from prison. Then Batman viciously charges down a fancy hallway. He just gobbles up those bullets with the only light coming from the gunfire. I love this. Actually, the director of photography on this film was Greg Fraser, who was the same guy who shot the movie Rogue One in a number of Mandalorian episodes, and with Michael Giacchino's score evoking the Imperial March from Star Wars. Yeah, this totally seems like a recreation of Darth Vader's blackout kill box in the corridor, one of my favorite Star Wars sequences at the end of Rogue One, shot by the same cinematographer. And we see the Batmobile this movie, an awesome looking muscle car. I love how they put the camera in these impossible close-ups right on the Batman's hand as he cranks up the engine, like increasing the burn of a jet engine, and then somehow gets the camera right there at his feet as he stomps on the accelerator, meaning that they had to rig up a version of this car that was like a cross-section of it, that didn't have the rest of the body of the car. Moving on.
What's black and blue and dead all over?
Okay, next Batman perches on this clock tower wearing a wingsuit glider gear, escaping the police. I like how they mount the camera on his back to show that last cop trying to reach out to grab him as he leaps off the ledge. I actually assume this is the tower that he ascended in the previous trailer as police fired upon him. So at some point, Batman's relationship with the cops turns sour. Then there's this awesome looking shot of Batman caked in mud. I actually think this could be after he leads a group with the flare into that flooded area. Perhaps one of the Riddler's clues led them there. That could be something that unearths that whole infrastructure conspiracy. And then Nashton's voice asks, what is black and blue and dead all over? A play on the old newspaper joke, what's black and white and red all over? Which Nashton literally does by painting the red word lies over black and white newspaper. But in this case, the answer is you, which must be to taunt Batman's bruised body as he tried to play cop, the boys in blue. Now you may see this as a nod to the black and blue Nightwing, Dick Grayson, though as this is a younger Batman, I don't know if he would have had a Nightwing or a Robin at this point. And then we learn that Nashton live streams some of his riddles on social media, where he wears his military extreme cold weather mask, but wears his glasses over it. Just a nice little detail similar to the Zodiac Killer, the way he was described by victims as wearing a mask, but wearing glasses over the mask. And then we see Batman angrily beating the shit out of somebody. If you push it on the bottom of the frame there, that is totally Nashton in his mask. And he's hitting him so hard that Selina watches in fear of Batman's rage, like on a date with a guy at a sports bar who is screaming at the TV. Do I really want to go home with someone who might kill me? Then we see someone in latex gloves unfolding a note reading, "See you in hell," on a scratched card of a dark green color. That's not a riddle. I kind of wonder if this could be some kind of fake clue planted to try to frame Batman for all the crimes that Riddler committed. This could be what leads the cops to turn on him. Moving on.
I got you! I got you!
Yeah, this rules! I like how Cobblepot celebrates, kind of like Two-Face in Batman Forever, when he thought that he had burned Batman alive, just to have him leap out of the flames. By the way, that Val Kilmer Batman suit was the same one that Robert Pattinson tried on for his screen test when he was auditioning for this role. And then on to the last part. Nice. The framing of Batman walking up to Cobblepot upside down like a bat hanging in a cave. the complete embodiment of fear. And on that title card, that bat emblem is laid inside of the text with its wings and hinges and segments, kind of like the bat emblem on his chest. But that central region with the pointed ears looks less mechanical and more hand-drawn, almost like a sketch of a child or the monster under his bed. In this film, having a title like The Batman, it's referring to the vigilante as a folk legend feared by Gotham's underworld, which is why I think this Batman might be more of a monstrous lie, working in the shadows of Gotham, more of a villain than Bruce Wayne may realize. You can support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. You can follow me at EA Voss, subscribe to New Rockstars for breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.